A very good morning, children. Well, in today's class of economic application, we shall take up a topic that is capital formation, and in today's topic we shall discuss topics like the various factors affecting capital formation, and we shall also discuss the causes of low rate of capital formation in the country, and we shall also make some suggestions to raise the rate of capital formation in our country. Okay, but before that, a bit of recap on what we did in the last class. Well, in the last class we discussed the topic that is the third factor of production, that is the capital, where we also discussed characteristics of capital and the various types of capital. As I said, the topic of the day, capital formation. So let's get started. Well, what is capital formation then? Well, by capital formation we mean the increase in the stock of capital goods like the machines, equipments, factories, buildings, means of transport, etc., which are used for the production. Okay, so in simple language, capital formation means the addition of the capital stock of the country during the certain period of time. So that's the literal meaning of capital formation. All right, now let us see the various factors affecting capital formation. Well, there are so many there are so many factors which affects the capital formation, and that those factors we're going to see one at a time. Okay, the first factor is the creation of savings. All right, see, saving is the first stays in the process of capital formation. Okay, the level of saving in the country, it depends upon three important three important factor. That is, first is the ability to save, and second is the desire to save, and third is the opportunity to save. Okay, now see, this ability to save, I'm talking about ability to save. Now ability to save depends upon the level of income of the people, isn't it? Okay, if the level of income is very low, then obviously you will not be able to save much, isn't it? Because if the level of income is less, then the major part of the income goes in your basic necessities of life, so nothing is left for you to save. So it depends upon the income of the people. Okay, that is the ability to save. Now besides that, besides the income, the income taxation policy, the income tax policy of the country also affects the level of saving greatly. All right, because the more you save, the more you earn, the more income tax you have to pay, isn't it? So if the major chunk of your income goes in paying the income tax, then nothing will be left with you to save. You understood? All right, so that is it. So some people also and then desire to save. I was talking desire to save. See, some people desire to save to start or expand the new businesses. People also save to provide higher education for their children, or as a security for an old age, or for an unseen emergencies. Okay, so what about the opportunity then? Yes, see, savings also depends upon the opportunity to save. See, people might have people may be able to save, they might have a desire to save, but if you do not have an opportunity to save, then creation of saving will not take place, isn't it? So opportunity of saving depends upon one important factor, that is the peace and security in the country or in the area where you're living. See, if the situation in the country is very unstable, and like that, then you will hesitate in saving or investing money. You'll hesitate in saving. So what you do is you keep the money with you, and if you keep the money with you, and if you do not save it or invest it, then it will be like hoarding the money, and hoarded money is useless, because it is not at all productive. It does not lead to capital formation. Understood? So these are some of the factors which affects the creation of saving. Okay, so creation of saving is very, very important factor in the capital formation. That is the first stage in the capital formation. Then comes the second stage, the second factor, that is mobilization of saving. Okay, see, once you have created the saving, once you have created the saving, it is very important for you to mobilize that saved money. Understood? So the next step in the process of capital formation is what? Is the saving of the household must be mobilized. Okay, and it has to be used for some productive and investment purposes. All right, so in this process, in this process of mobilization, banks and financial intermediaries plays a very important role in collecting these savings and making them available to the producers and to the investors. You understood? Okay. So first stage is saving, and the second stage is what? Mobilizing. Once you save the money or the finance or the money, whatever you tell the term, has to be mobilized. Okay. So saving is done. Now money is getting mobilized. Who plays a very important role in mobilizing the money? The bank and the financial institutions. Okay. Now once it is saved and mobilized, then the saving has to be invested. So the second factor affecting the capital formation is what? Investment of the savings. All right. So the third stage in the capital formation is what? Investment of these mobilized savings. So capital formation cannot take place, as I said, unless this saving is utilized or invested. Okay. So in order that the investment of the saving should take place, what is important is that they should there must be some good number of honest, tactful or dynamic entrepreneurs in the country who is ready to take the risk of the business. Okay, so savings, then it has to be mobilized, and the money has to be invested. Now first, and for this investment of this so-called mobilized savings, what is very important is that a country should possess some very, very good, very enterprising, dynamic, tactful entrepreneurs who are ready to take the risk of the business and invest. Okay, so these are the three important factors affecting the capital formation. All right, now we will see from the India's point of view. See, now we'll talk we will talk in terms of our country. Okay, why the capital formation is very, very low in our country. You understood? Okay, so in a country like India, the rate of capital formation is extremely very, very low, and there are several factors which are responsible for this low capital formation in our country. Okay, now we're going to discuss some of these points right now. Like first factor is low savings. Okay, we've already discussed this point, low savings. See, why the level of saving in our country is very, very low, and what is the factor which is responsible for that? It is the level of income. The level of income decides the level of saving. If the income is less, obviously the saving will be low, and if the income is high, obviously the savings will be high. Okay, so the level of saving is mostly decided by the level of income that you earn. Alright, so that's but in our country, what happened? The level of savings is very, very less, and that is one factor which is responsible for what? Low capital formation. Alright, now the second factor is habit of hoarding. Hoarding means keeping the money with you. Alright, see, in our country, most of the people, they have the habit of, hoarding their savings in their houses only, instead of, putting up in the bank or investing elsewhere. Okay, instead of doing that, they keep the money with themselves. Okay, but hoarding or such kind of money is of no use. I said hoarding is is not at all productive. Okay, hoarding or this kind of money is useless. Why? Because it cannot be utilized for any productive purposes, because the money just lies there in your house inside a safe. So money in your safe is useless unless it is invested. So, but in India, we have the habit of hoarding our money, and that's why the capital formation is very, very low and slow, of course. Okay, then next is inflation. Yes, inflation, the term inflation, right? See, owing to inflation, what happens is that the prices of the commodities are going up or shooting up like anything. Now, so in such situation, when the prices of the commodity rises so high, then what happens is that the major part of the income, the major part of the earnings rather, the major part of the earning goes in buying the daily necessities of life, and a very little is left for you to save. Okay, first, like all the, the basic necessities of life. Okay, so the major chunk of your earning goes in buying all these things. So very little amount of money is left with you to save. Why? It's all because of the inflation, okay, due to high prices of the commodities and all. So nothing is left with you, rather. In fact, nothing is left. Not some may save less or little, but most of the time people are left with nothing to save. So this is also, inflation is also another factor in India why the capital formation is very low. Okay. Well, and then of course the lack of infrastructure. You must have a very good infrastructure facility also for for the better growth in the capital formation. Now, but in India, what you see is that there is a lack of basic infrastructure like road, communication facilities, education, water facilities, health, etc. Now, all this acts like a big hurdle in the process of capital formation, because for capital formation all these factors are also very, very important. Okay, so-called the basic infrastructures. All right. Then another factor that we can talk in terms of India is that in India what we see is that there is a lack of able and skilled entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs means enterprises, okay, rather producers. Okay, so in India, due to the absence of such able, tactful, dynamic or efficient enterprises or entrepreneurs, the establishment of industries and its expansion is quite limited, very limited. Okay, all right. Then what about in the process of capital formation, the availability of very good banking facilities and financial facility is very important. Okay, but in India what we see is that even after the nationalization of bank way back in 1969 and in 1980s, although a large number of such bank branches has opened throughout the length and breadth of the country, but yet what we see is that not all these things has also not much contributed in the mobilization and investment of the savings. Now, why is it that in spite of so-called privatization or nationalization of in spite of all this nationalization of banks and opening up of so much of branches in different parts of the country, yet the savings and mobilization, savings is done nowadays, small savings are encouraged, but mobilization and investment of such investment is not possible or very less. Why? It is all because in India what we see is that there is very less, or there is a lack of or inadequate transport and communication facilities. So lack of adequate transport and education facility is very much responsible for what? For the low rate of capital formation also. Okay, so although you may be having a lot of banks and branches and all and savings, etc., but mobilization is not taking place. Okay, therefore investment is also not taking place. You understood? So, well, this is it. And then and as I discussed in the earlier points also, taxation policy also acts as a heavy burden to the people in the country, okay, which discourages the people to what? Save, and in fact that has an adverse effect on the capital formation. So why? Because in India what happens is there's a high level of taxes on property and income of the people. Okay, so these all affects the what? It affects the saving and the accumulation of what? Capital adversely. Okay, so that's it. And then what about from the point of view of insecurity? Then see, what we see is that in India what we see, there is a great disbalance in the capital formation in the country. If you see certain parts of the country are very developed and certain parts of the country are yet very backward and all, and there are so many factors which are responsible, and one is like insecurity in which terms. Then see, in some parts of the country, due to the lack of security of life and property, there are certain areas where there is always a threatening threatening not only for your life, also for your property. So in such kind of area where there is inadequate security facilities for your life and security, in such areas entrepreneurs hardly what dares to set up or put up industries or factories. So you understood? So such kind of insecurity is also very much responsible for low capital formation in our country. Okay, so what we discussed right now is various factors which are responsible for the low capital formation in our country. Right now, in this context, let us make some suggestions to raise the rate of capital formation in the country. Well, some suggestions that we can make is that we should rather the government, they should take some steps to encourage small savings like PPF, public provident fund, then compulsory so-called insurances, compulsory deposits. This kind of policies and this kind of small savings needs to be encouraged, so that it can add or it can increase the investment, and then that can be given out to the investors or the producers to form capitals. Okay, so and not just that, cheaper credit facilities should be made available to the investors, so that their profit margin will rise. Unless they have the, why the producers are they in the market? The producers are they in the market to earn profit. So if they do not have their profit margin good, they will not dare to invest, isn't it? So in this context, cheaper credit facilities should be made available to the producers. Okay, and not just that, as I was talking about, such a high rate of taxes I've been telling in the previous points. So with related to that, I would say that some tax concessions should also be granted to the private entrepreneurs or to the private sectors. Okay, and not only that, the efficiency of the the efficiency level or the efficiency of the public sector. Okay, public sector should also be improved, so that they may generate surplus for the further investments. Okay, well, I think we're going to stop here. So what we saw today is that we talked about capital formation, and there are three important factors which are very much important for the capital formation, and that is savings and mobilization and investment. We saw that, and then the why in India the capital formation is extremely low. We saw some of the factors, and we also made some suggestions. That's all for today, and in the coming up class we shall discuss the third factor of production, that is the enterprise. Till then, stay tuned and stay safe.